So today we're starting something new. Today I'm going to start Frontsite Focused. And what Frontsite Focused typically means is you are focused specific on that front sight when you are shooting with iron sights. And what that does is the more you focus on that front sight, you put that over your target, the better your hits can be, right? So we want to be accurate and we want to be efficient in our shooting. The same way we want to be accurate and efficient in what we say on social media and in the news. So today on Frontsite Focus, we're going to cover Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, allowing service members to carry on federal installations. We are going to cover the myth that is gun control, right, and gun violence. And the last thing we're going to talk about is clickbait and exactly how Frontsite is going to do what we can to make sure that that clickbait nonsense stays off the app as long as possible. So stay tuned for this episode of Frontsite Focused. Hey y'all, it's Chris from Frontsite, and today I am joined by my lovely assistant yet again, Hadley. Say hi, Hadley.
Hello.
Now today we're going to talk about those three things. We're going to talk about Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War. We're going to talk about the gun control nonsense, and we're also going to talk about the clickbait. So first, let's discuss the Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, signing a memorandum allowing service members to carry firearms on federal installations. So in his video and in his statement, he says that it's not appropriate for service members to lose their Second Amendment rights when they walk onto a federal installation. I tend to agree. I know there were rules in the past about not allowing service members to carry on there for security reasons, and that only security guards and security personnel should be allowed to carry. I've always kind of thought that was ridiculous because I know how much that law enforcement as a whole, but also on the military side, actually train and shoot. And to be honest, let's be honest, there are some really good shooters in law enforcement, both military and law enforcement, but there are some that could probably use some help. So if me as an instructor would like to carry on there to better protect myself, my family, and my fellow service members, I don't see why I shouldn't be allowed to, especially considering I am active law enforcement. So I think he's going in the right direction. I think this is many, many years later than it should have been. Not saying he shouldn't have done this sooner, but other Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War should have done this in previous administrations. But that's just my 2 cents. I think he's going in the right direction. I really appreciate the fact that he's taking our security and our safety into consideration and allowing us to do that. Now, one thing I will say that I hope happens with this is that it forces individuals to train more often, especially if you're getting on those military installations. I don't know if the commanding general of each installation can specifically say you will attend X amount of training or you will take this class, whatever it is. But I really hope that something comes of this that kind of, I don't want to say forces them, but encourages them strongly to train more often with their firearm. I think only through training with that firearm will you become more efficient and more proficient, and will you be able to help defend yourself, your family, and also your fellow service members on that base. So next up, you have the gun control argument. And gun control has always been an argument of the left that's saying that they need to get rid of all guns. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to create a society that cannot defend itself. And a lot of times people say, well, you shouldn't have to worry about defending yourself against the government. I agree. We shouldn't have to worry about that. But that's really not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is defending myself against criminals who don't abide by the law to begin with. And the ones that don't abide by the law to begin with are not going to give up their guns. But you're going to try to take away all the guns of all of these law-abiding citizens. That's a problem. The overwhelming majority of people in this country that are law-abiding citizens don't use their firearm to kill people. They use it in self-defense. There are roughly 1 to 4 million defensive uses of firearms every year, depending on the year you're looking at. And a lot of that information is kind of hard to find because they don't want to put that out there. And overall, if you're looking at the gun violence in this country, the gun violence is high. But you're also looking at all the gangbanger violence, the people in blue cities that are out there shooting each other. Look at Chicago, 80 people shot in a weekend. That's crazy. And other cities like that have those problems. But if you take all those numbers out of the equation, we're like 110th in the world for violent crime. So you really have to take it into consideration. It's not just guns, it's the people that are carrying them. And the overwhelming majority of Americans, like I said before, that are law-abiding citizens that carry firearms do so in the defense of life. And that's why you have 2, 3, 4 million defensive uses of firearms every year. So I'll bring up a good point with this information right here. So I'm looking at England specifically. England now is looking at banning bladed weapons. I'm talking about martial arts, swords, and other type of sharp objects that could be for that, right? Because what they have is they have a knifing problem, right? If people in America say we have a gun problem, well, England has a knife problem, all right? And the problem is a lot of those people cannot defend themselves against a blade attack because it's very difficult, as most of you probably know, to defend yourself against an edged weapon unless you have distance and you have a gun, right? Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. So that's part of the problem is you take away guns, people are going to find a way. And all you are doing is disabling the ability of law-abiding citizens to defend themselves and their families. And it's dangerous. Not even talking about the government nonsense. I'm only talking about defending yourself against other people that might want to do you harm. So we should always say no to gun control. We should always say no to any type of red flag laws, right? That should not be an issue. People should always be able to defend themselves, and they should never lose that right. Now, unless you want to turn into England and have a knife problem, keep your guns and keep your powder dry. So the last thing I want to talk about is clickbait. Now, what is clickbait? Clickbait is that nonsense that you see, especially on social media sites, that has this crazy title, and you click on it because it's just such a crazy title you can't imagine that something like this would actually happen. And then you read about it and you're like, that had nothing to do with the title. I don't understand. Well, the reason people do that in the media is because they want clicks. They want their 5 seconds of fame, because it used to be 5 minutes of fame, but now on YouTube and different channels like this, especially on social media, it's really only 5 seconds of fame. So what happens is people write an article such as this one, and it talks about how the U.S. military or the government is keeping the real numbers from you on how many service members have been hurt or killed in this Iran war, right? So the article says that it's incorrect. We're getting incorrect numbers. That 300 some service members have been injured and roughly 13 have been killed. Well, they say that's incorrect. Well, what they're saying later on in that article is that hundreds have been injured and several have been killed. Well, that's exactly what that article says, and that's exactly what the government says. So it's correct information. They're just making it sound like it's not, right? So anytime you see an article like this one, I want you to don't even pay attention to the title, just read the article. Because if you look at the title and it says one thing, I guarantee you the article underneath it is going to be a little bit different, or it's not really going to be an issue. So how does Frontsite fit into this? Well, Frontsite specifically was designed to talk just about firearms in the firearm community and the outdoor stuff as well. And recently I posted on there, what's your favorite everyday carry? It doesn't have to be what you think is the best. Just what do you carry? What do you like about your firearm? And it's really just a question and answer. You just post your comment down there, what you prefer to carry on a regular basis. And the reason for that is, it's not because I would like to know what you carry. It's not because I'm being nosy and I work for the government and I'm going to write everything down you guys are saying. That's not it. It's to create a dialogue and see what is the best thing out there. What's the most popular firearm out there? What's the most popular weapon-mounted light? What's the most popular red dot or sighting system? What, things like that we can converse about and not disagree with or argue with, but just learn from each other. I've been doing the firearms thing for roughly 15 years, and I always have things I can learn. So I really look forward to getting on Frontsite and having that dialogue with everybody as to what you like to carry, what you do and don't like about the firearms industry, how we can make the industry better, how we can make the community better, how we can bring people to training and get training to be better, because we have to hold each other accountable, right? So that's what Frontsite is for. We're not going to allow that clickbait nonsense. One, because we're not really set up technologically for that. And I'm really going to try to keep it that way, keep it simple, stupid, right? Because I really want to keep it to where it's very organic, right? No AI, none of that nonsense. It's you asking a question and somebody answering it for you, right? And maybe giving you some advice. So that's what Frontsite was for. That's the entire idea behind it, was to have that communication between users and that communication between the industry and the community, and really bring everybody together on one platform without having to worry about being shadow banned, blocked, taken down, or things like that. As long as you're not violating state or federal law, right, by threatening people or things like that, we will be just fine. And again, with this kind of community, I'm really not worried about banning people because we don't really do that all that often. So keep that in mind when you're out there posting. But get on Frontsite. You can get it on both the app stores, the Apple App Store, obviously, and the Google Play Store. It's available on both. We are fixing to push an update, so go ahead and download it now and get ready to update that so you can actually communicate with these different vendors. And we look forward to seeing that in action here very soon. All right, y'all. So that's going to be it for today. I really appreciate you tuning in and kind of listening to what we had to say today. Do me a favor, if you like this video and you watch to the end, hit a like down below. But also, if you want to hear more about different topics or you want to talk about something, shoot me a comment down below. I try to answer questions as I can on the actual comment section of the YouTube videos. So just do me a favor and shoot me a comment and see what you like. If you could also subscribe to my channel and share this video or this content or my channel with other people that might be in the firearms industry or the firearms community, so we can talk more about Frontsite and how Frontsite is going to help change this country for the better. So I look forward to seeing y'all on the next one. Welcome to the revolution.
Welcome to Frontsite.
All right.